This is TWiT.
Even before this last couple of weeks of revelations, how many breaches of Sony have we talked about in the past? I mean, the PlayStation has had breaches.
Yep.
I mean, Sony has historically had really poor security, and you would have to then hold them even more responsible for the depth of this catastrophe that they are now suffering, and it can only be called a catastrophe. We don't know yet for sure what the origin is. That is, whether there are rumors that this is North Korea because of Kim Jong-un's unhappiness with the what is it? By Invitation is the movie, which is going to be coming out. Unfortunately,
the interview.
The interview.
Yeah.
Exactly. But oddly, as a consequence of this, we know that the two main stars are each receiving $6.5 million because all the details of their contracts.
And James Franco gets $6,000 to drive himself to work.
Yeah.
I like that. There is a certain gossipy element to all of this, and I don't know if we should foster it.
That's what makes it so juicy. Oh, yeah, we have to, Leo. So, and Lizzie Kaplan, I was a little disappointed. She's only getting $100,000 for her part.
What?
But
a show?
I know. No, for the movie.
Oh, in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, she should get as much money as Sony has.
Well, yeah. Now we know exactly what that is too.
100,000.
I know.
She's a super.
Yeah,
well, she obviously did the deal before Masters of Sex.
Probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And boy, you and I both like her.
I hope she's
lot.
getting a lot of money for Masters of Sex.
I bet she is. And what?
From now on, she's going to make plenty of money.
Season.
Yeah.
But
the question is, what is Korea's involvement in this? That's the interesting.
Well, and yes,
we don't know.
Okay, so one of the reasons I didn't talk about it last week or the week before is that, first of all, this is going to be providing juice for a year. I mean, the problem is the bad guys are having a ball trickling this out, and they've got so much content to disclose that there's no hurry. And I wanted to get a sense for it too. So one of the things we have established is that a group whose initials are GOP, who goes by the Guardians of Peace, are clearly the source. We don't know much about them. We know that their English is not great. At one point, when they were disclosing something to the press, they said, we've got great damage by Sony Pictures. The compensation for it, monetary compensation we want. Actually, they sound like Yoda.
Monetary compensation we want.
Pay the damage, or Sony Pictures will be bombarded as a whole. You know us very well. We never wait long. You'd better behave wisely. From God's apostles, APSTLS. So, and similar messages like that in broken English and with words. There was also something that apparently pretended to be actually posted in Korean, but it didn't. It looked like a machine translation was used to get it, because actual Korean speakers said, no, the words are all like, Yoda-ized. So, okay, so here's, to say that it's bad, I think misses the point. So I want to quickly just sort of scan through the contents of the data that has befallen the public from Sony's caverns so far, because it gives, it's important, I think. As I was going through this, I was thinking, oh my God. I mean, because this actually did happen. So on November 25th was and we now know that some small set of Sony's executives 2 or 3 days before this received an extortion email saying, pay up or we're going to disclose a lot of information. And they ignored the email. No response came back to the Guardians of Peace. So November 25th, via a Pastebin link, torrent files were hosted on 4 sites in 26 parts as 25 1 gigabyte files, and then the 6th one was the fragment. It was 894 megs. They were also uploaded to file sharing giants Mega and RapidGator, but the managers of those sites pulled them down. Those files contained information on 4,000 past and present Sony employees. And following this, a brief email dialogue that risk-based security, one of the many researchers following this, had with the GOP, the Guardians of Peace, stated that the GOP stated that they had over 12 terabytes of data obtained from Sony's servers and workstations. The next day, on the 26th, torrent links were published to torrent trackers containing the unreleased movies. Fury, which actually has now been released, but then 3 other ones. Annie, due for release on the 19th of December. Mr. Turner, due for release on the 19th of December. And To Write Love on Her Arms, the title of a movie due for release on March 15th of March of 2015. And based on several torrent tracking sites, those 3 movies have been downloaded over 100,000 times. So they are loose on the internet. Monday before last, on December 1st, NBC News reported that the FBI was investigating the breach. Also, the FBI sent out a flash alert to a few days after that to a number of other high-profile companies, basically warning them to watch their networks closely. One of the things we do know about the malware, and I'll talk about it in more detail in a second, is that that it is able to jump through Windows shares from one machine to another through an intranet, and this clearly helps to explain the depth of what was lost inside of Sony. So I know there's been so many stories about this, but I also saw that they thought it might have been an inside job because there were Sony logins to certain servers and so forth, so that maybe they were able to get that malware even deeper than they would have been with a spear phishing attack because they had some help from the inside. Yeah, I'm again. All we can do at this point is speculate.
Right. FBI's not saying anything.
My sense is that this was ongoing for some time. I know that, for example, the malware was written for Sony. That is, in the malware were the names of 50 different Sony servers. So it knew, it knew what to look for. On the other hand, once you get in, if you can stay stealthed, you can poke around within a network. And, clearly, in order for there to be this much data, 12 terabytes. Jeez. The other thing, Leo, that just cracks me up, and I've got this later on, I was going to talk about it, but Sony's own servers are providing the seeds for the torrents of their own data. So BitTorrent clients have been loaded on Sony servers. Then they're offering the torrents from Sony's own servers.
Oh, that's insult to injury. Holy cow!
So December 1st, another 24.87 gig of data was leaked. Now get a load of these numbers: 33,880 files in 4,864 folders, containing, just scanning through the data, 47,426 unique names with Social Security numbers. 15,232 Social Security numbers belonged to current or former Sony employees. 3,253 Social Security numbers appearing more than 100 times throughout the files. And just among all this data, an example of employee data that was found is one file was in a directory structure /HR/benefits/Mayo MAYO or Mayo Health /Mayo Xerox assessment feed containing 402 Social Security numbers, internal email addresses, plain text passwords, and employee names.
Aye.
So all of this confidential internal employee number and an additional 3,000 or more Social Security numbers, names, contact details, phone numbers, dates of birth, email addresses, employee benefits, workers' compensation details, and retirement and termination plans, employees' previous work histories, executive salaries, medical plans, dental plans, their gender, their employee IDs, sales reports, copies of passport information, and receipts for travel. It's just and account information to order custom jewelry from Tiffany & Company via email. That was Monday before last.
I want to take a little break because this is good.
Okay.
There's more.
There's more.